Welcome to London's Flatiron Building.
A station that opened on the 22nd of June 1907. Today we're at Chalk Farm.
In this week's episode.
Well, this is grist to my mill.
Do you know what I think is amazing is the hamster tube poster.
Now look, these little windows are all over the place here, aren't they?
Cute.
Delightful. Look.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
Flying through the air, like trying to do like karate.
Oh, I love this. I've never seen this before.
Oh, fancy seeing you here. Welcome to another episode of the Hidden London Hangouts. Today, we're at a station that looks beautiful from the outside and has a heart of gold on the inside. I don't do this alone. I've got three wonderful folk from the London Transport Museum to guide us through the station and to give us a bit of a laugh as well. First of all, my partner in grime, just for one day, it was Christopher Nix. Good day to you, fine sir.
Well, hello, and what a lovely station to have gone and looked round. A true surprise for the amount of wonders that it had.
And we're quite clean today compared to how we were at the end of the tour as well. Siddy Holloway looking gleaming and gorgeous. You missed us on that one, but I tell you something, you've got a great film coming your way.
I know. Well, this is the thing. It's getting, especially towards the end of the year, sometimes it's hard to get the old diaries to align. But I am really looking forward to this because we were going through that station shortly after you were filming to get to the LTM auction dinner. So I feel like I've seen a glimpse of it traveling through it, but you guys have explored extensively.
Oh, it's gorgeous stuff. And Laura Hilton Brown, number one, I love your Christmas stocking. And number two, you have a tile fest coming your way today.
I know. Well, if it gets remotely near December, you know me, I like to put the old Christmas decorations out. So just a few tokens today to raise everyone's spirits on what otherwise is a gloomy, grim day. I think, yeah, Siddy was good prepping for the auction dinner, and I think I might have been doing some final ops kind of work for the Brunel tunnel tours, which have now happened, but I couldn't make this site visit because we had some last minute things to deal with. But yeah, looking forward to the Tile Fest. Let's see what you saw.
We have work for you both to do because there's plenty to look at. Roll tape. So then, Nixie, we are at probably my favourite tube station exterior. We have gone to New York. This is the Flatiron Building in London.
It really is, isn't it? If the plans had gone ahead to do what they did with a lot of Leslie Green stations, which was to build on top of it, it really would have looked very much like the Flatiron. However, it's still pretty good. It's at this dividing of the ways in the road. Tremendous building. One of my favourites of Leslie Green's, in fact. There was only one other that I can think of anyway that would have looked like this.
Leicester Square, is that Leicester Square?
Well, did you notice I said would have looked like
so
this?
Which would it have been?
One that we've done before. Anybody? It's not very far from here. North End, Bull and Bush was also going to be a triangular plot and would have been more awkward than this, in fact, the way it sat. But because of this unique space where it sits on the fork of a road, it actually has the biggest frontage of any Leslie Green station.
Well, you've got 6 windows that side, you've got 8 windows that side.
Yeah.
They're pretty damn huge. And the thing I love about this is that if you stand here, because we've seen the plans of the station, the platforms are down there, you can feel the vibrations as you're walking on the road.
You really can.
I just felt
we
one.
were walking up before, I was like, oh, I can feel the Northern Line underneath. So from now on, if you know anybody who's a bit cheeky, I think the expression is that person's got more front than Chalk Farm.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, you've got that beautiful underground lettering as well. What sort of era was that from?
You do. Well, so there were lots of different ways of putting those titles on the front. They could be gilded in some areas. You would have them as black and white. You might have white on the red tile. That underground device with the large U and the big D dates from just a year after the station opened. They started experimenting with that on light boxes in 1908. So yeah, it's really handsome there. It's a nice shade of blue, isn't it?
It's glorious. Now that looks what the outside looks like.
Well, imagine what the view view from the roof is like looking back that way down the road.
So this is a rooftop job again, is it?
I think I can just very quickly and make it appear looking back down that way.
And it looks lovely.
And the setting that we're in here, we've got the wonderful Roundhouse Theatre just over there. You've got Camden Market just down the road.
Camden Shelter, Belsize Park Shelter.
That's right. And just over there, you've got the old Camden Winding Tunnels, part of Network Rail's old hidden estate as well. Now, it's remarkable to me that if you open the notable work that is Rails Through the Clay and look for Chalk Farm, you'll find one entry on page 80, and all it does is list the date that it opened with a bunch of others, and that's it. But I think there's a lot more to give inside this station, so come on, let's go.
Do you know, if proof were needed, whenever you come into a station like this, put your phone in your pocket and look up, because all the coving from originally 1907 all remains. Even this door is probably original.
Yeah, absolutely. The first time I came through this station, the first thing I noticed was this door and thought, oh, that's got a bit of age to it, and some nice little architraves in it. So it's a station that's been refurbished several times. You've got to be a little bit careful. Some of the refurbs are actually quite good. So these tiles, for example, the pomegranate design rather than the acanthus leaf. And, well, you know, these are replicas, but they're very, very good ones.
They are.
There's even a little bit of variety to them as well, so rather nice.
But the good thing about this station is it's also got some of the original pomegranate tiles down in the emergency stairs. And in fact, everything that you see that is new, there's probably an old version somewhere to compare it to.
That's right. There are original colour tiles as well around here. And as you spotted when we came in here, you've got the beautiful old clock over there, the self-winding clock of New York. Now, if you keep your eyes peeled, you sometimes find there are these heritage plaques. If the station is deemed significant by the underground, then they will have put up one of these heritage plaques, which give you a bit of information about it. But we're going to go deeper. We're going to go deeper underground.
We're going to go down.
So, should we?
Shall we? Do you know, we don't normally get a chance to sit down in these places, but what a place we've chosen, because we're in the top bit of those tube stations that you see from out there.
I think I'm going to make this my rider from now on. This is a very civilised way to do things, but it's really nice to be inside these lighting arches, isn't it?
It's gorgeous, and I didn't realise, I know this sounds ridiculous, I don't know what you thought this was made of. I didn't realise these were wooden framed windows with what I can only describe as grandma's house
the
locks.
Curly,
Look at the curly locks.
Pulls, yeah.
It's so bizarre.
See, the thing is, I really love these arch windows. I think they're a gorgeous feature of these offices, but the one I really think is cute is the tiny little oculus windows at the end. And they look equally handsome from outside as well.
They're gorgeous.
So, yeah.
With these buildings though, all of these Leslie Green stations all have these wonderful bricks that made up the outsides. If one of them fell off, could you effectively swap one from another station, or are they cut to size?
No,
just for
they are a sort of a kit of pieces. Those Leeds Fire Clay Company terracotta tiles. It is a bit of a problem. That you will see there are some replicas here where the station's been slightly modified. Very occasionally, if a station gets demolished, then if it's not a listed building, then those parts can be painstakingly cut out and refit, but it's not an easy job.
It's gorgeous. But I love the fact that just sometimes we can see the other bit that we've seen for so many years looking in. We can actually look out.
Well, look, I'm sitting on them, so I know I've got the keys. Shall we go and see what else we can find?
Enjoy your cup of coffee.
Yeah, we'll come back and wash up later. Now look, these little windows are all over the place here, aren't they?
Cute.
Delightful little kind of ring pull to unlatch it.
And we are in the gods of the lift the station now, aren't we? Because here's the lift room with the two whacking great motors.
Yeah, and these ones are a type that we've seen before. If you remember when we were at Good Street, those really quite modern fast lifts there. So they make the difficult job of hauling people up and down in the lifts feel very, very easy, because they're so quiet and refined, these machines.
And look at all the girders that keep the roof up and everything else. But of course, these will be used to be hoiking all the equipment in as well, won't they?
Yeah, that's right. You can see they've got safe working load 2-ton manual. So that's basically, you'll have a sliding rig on there, so you can hoist and lift this equipment around in here for servicing without having to, get too involved. Look at that. So hauling a whole lift cabin full of people in peak hour.
Incredible.
No problem.
I love it.
You see, it's a pretty short journey.
It is.
Barely
50
started
steps,
and
isn't it? It's like tiny. And of course, this is where you bring the lift equipment in.
Yeah.
Because that'll be your shuttered doors that get the
That's
loads
right.
and everything else.
You used to see this a lot in warehouse buildings, didn't you?
Yeah.
Where there'd be like upper floors in the warehouses which had these lifting beams.
I love it.
So there we go.
Love it. Right, next.
Well, speaking of lifts, we know that there were two shafts built for 4 lifts, but there are only lifts 1 and 2 here. So that's our first indication there might be some fun here.
This is really rather nice, isn't it?
It is.
I won't tell you what Nixie just said.
These ornate knobs on the tops of the balustrades there.
I don't even know why I'm finding this funny.
It's great to take the stairs, isn't it? This one, it says it's only got 53 stairs.
And it's got a complete mix, though, Nixie, of old and new, because you've got a bit of new and a bit of old.
Absolutely.
It's really, really nice.
So here's the replica pomegranate tiles, and as you sometimes get on these refurbs, if they're in decent enough condition, they'll leave them behind. You can just see just a tiny bit more variation to them. As we look down at the tiles at the bottom here, these ones, you can see there's a lot more variation, isn't there?
Look at that, you actually can see really clearly the difference in the colours.
And if we follow it up, you've got original handrail as well.
That is brilliant, isn't it?
Now, this is an unusual station because it's got lifts rather than escalators, but it's relatively shallow, as you can tell from that 53 stairs sign up there. And a bit like Holloway Road, it's one of the shallowest on the system that has lifts. Because really, if it was any shallower, it'd be like Arsenal, where you just don't need them, you just walk.
And do you know, the thing that I really find fascinating about stations with lifts is that people use the stairs a lot more than any other station. If there's escalators, people are always going up and down, but if they're waiting for a lift, they'll probably walk down the stairs.
Wow, that's quite a blast coming up the stairs all of a sudden with the train, with the piston effect, isn't it?
Well, Chris, one of the wonderful people who works here, said to us a minute ago, in fact, he's just up there out of Ireland, he just said, be really careful because you don't half get a lot of wind.
Well, he's not wrong there.
Just
we have lost
that,
one of the second cameras doing this before.
But I love the fact there's all the old and new tiles together. I love the look of the place. The staff are wonderful. This is pretty good so far.
Well, I think we should take the stairs down ourselves because it's easy going down, isn't it? And also gives our first glimpse of the tiles. Well, it's another delightful push of air from the trains.
Isn't it just? You talk about the piston effect because you really can feel the difference in the direction of the wind when the train's coming in and the train's leaving.
And look at that, we're already at the bottom.
I know, incredible, isn't it? Wow.
So, first impressions of the tile colour?
Really nice, but really like Belsize Park and Hampstead.
Absolutely.
Right? And it must then be down to the pattern rather than the actual, that kind. At the moment, the colours seem very similar, although I'm slightly colourblind, so you'll have to confer with me on this one, Nixon.
So we get the inkling of what might be here, which we'll save for later, the lift shafts.
2 lifts in service, and then 2 doorways.
Yeah,
absolutely. The clues were always there, Nixon.
They are.
The clues were always there.
They are. Well, I think we should do a cheeky mirror shot to walk off to. How about that? Oh, now, I've just remembered there's one other little interesting spot round here. So, you only see this if you're in the lift, waiting to go upstairs and you look out. Look at that, previous refurb. Do you remember when we went to Angel?
Yeah, the old gates, the old Bostwick gates.
Yeah, old Bostwick gates, but with that kind of, Angel Disused has got it, and Charing Cross in the cross passages.
The tiling, it's all
very thick clay. sometimes I think come across as a little bit sniffy about refurb tiles on stations, but actually I think these are really rather good.
It's really lovely.
You look at them, there's variation. A lot of the things which I generally criticise refurbs for is there's not that variation in the tiling, but actually it's not bad
It's
at all.
gorgeous. Lettering as well.
Yeah, of course, yes, you've got the name Chalk Farm tiled into the wall. It's great stuff, isn't it?
Now, we have stood in this station for about 2 hours so far.
Yeah.
And we've been looking for something very, very tricky to find.
We have.
We dumped our camera down by accident.
There it is.
What is that? Remind us.
That is a maker's tile, the supplier of the tiling, and it's unusual. We saw one like this at Kentish Town, didn't we? And we weren't quite sure if that was original because the typeface on it is unusual, but this one definitely is. I mean, look at the age of the tile.
And the and, look at the funny and with the flat top.
Yeah. And it's what's lovely is you can see where they've got the new tiles set around it, and they must have carefully left that on the wall because it wouldn't have come off in one piece and gone back on. So
and the really lovely thing about this is as well that the team who work here are so lovely, but even Gillian, who said, "Where is this tile?" and started looking at it for us. Well, I can give you a gift when we go. It's there.
Yeah.
We found it for you, so don't worry.
Now there are other little glimpses as you go down the platform. In fact, I can see one just now down there. We'll pick it up as we walk past it, I think. But there's what often happens when stations are retiled is they'll do the platform, but they won't do the tile bandings. They'll be left as the originals, and you can see here there's just a slightly different quality to them, isn't there? There's a kind of almost iridescence to the translucent glaze.
It's the glazing that they use is shinier on the old tiles. Is that basically what you mean about the iridescence?
That's right. So we'll have a little look at a few points on the way down, and this is the southbound platform.
Yep.
We'll work our way down and then come back up the northbound, see what treasures we can find.
Let's do it. If you look really carefully at the sides of that map, look at the swirly S of Charing Cross and the arrow. And if you look that way there, you can see the EAD of Hampstead and an arrow there to tell people, whichever way you're going, we know which way you're going to go. Get on the train that's going in your direction.
It's just lovely, isn't it? And you will see these survivors out on the system. Hyde Park Corner is another one that's still got those original Finsbury Park on one side and Hammersmith on the other. Delight when you find them.
It's gorgeous.
And also for the keen fans of Labyrinth, number 178 is right here in a cross passage. Okay, on we go. So one of the other places that you can often find original tiles is at the ends of the platforms where the customers haven't come into contact with them very much. So they leave them there, and you can see they're quite knocked about in places, but if you look at the originals and the new ones, they're pretty good match.
It's a nice plum colour as well, isn't it? It's a really nice plum colour.
Let's see, got a train coming in, so let's see what we can find on the other platform.
Okay, so
now we're on the northbound platform, and we can see we've got equipment cupboards built in here, and they're often a good source. We found this with Kennington, didn't we? We found all those beautiful posters. Elephant Castle, same thing.
Because these have been built out from the original tunnel, haven't they?
So there's a good chance that we've got original material.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
Look at that. So original tiling, and you've got an enamel frieze panel saying Chalk Farm.
Oh, look at that. Okay, all right. Get in there, Nixie. Get your little camera around there.
The thing is, as often happens, when they modify these rooms, they build a wall and they don't take it out. Remember we saw that at Holborn?
It's all the way along.
I bet if we look...
the A's there
you found
from Chalk Farm.
So that's interesting because they've built that wall there. I bet if we pop into the neighbouring room,
there's another bit.
There's another bit of it. So let's have a quick
this
butchers.
one?
No, that one. That one. So our key won't let us in here, quite rightly, but just up there, just make out. There's the roundel. Yeah, there's the roundel for the other part of the frieze.
Oh, but look, it's the really old one. It's not even metal. It's cardboard.
So you've got the end of the frieze, and then you've got the...
Oh, goodness. Hold that light for me a minute,
That's
Nixie.
tremendous.
I'll show my kids one day. Look at that. Amazing.
Right. Onwards.
Again, all these things are literally just there.
They are.
You wouldn't believe it.
All right, well, I think it's time to go back and have a look at the lift shafts.
Oh, right, so 2 lifts in service, 2 doorways. We know what this is going to be, don't we?
So lift 1 and 2 down there, and 2 lifts that we're here. I like these gates. They're very reminiscent of Kensington.
I love the showers, by the way. Look at
It's
that.
like you've got some kind of almost like Maori tattoos.
The
on
man
the back
tags.
of- Yeah, it's great.
Man tags. Look at this, though.
Look at that. Okay, I better just shut that. Well, this is grist to my mill.
It's marvellous. Let me put some more lights on.
Oh, good plan.
There goes, a few more.
Yeah, look, straight away, I've got original tiles. We've got original tile backing.
What did you call that, by the way? Herringbone?
Herringbone pattern.
Okay.
So the back of the tile has got that keystoning pattern cut into it, and that or moulded into it, and that bonds more tightly. You can see that tile split rather than let go. And you can see the back of the tile that didn't want to come off.
And we find this in a lot of stations, certainly Archway. I mean, all the ones that we've done around here before.
Yeah.
They've got this wooden batten
It's kind of a
that divides the tile
It's
work.
like a dado rail, but they're too high, isn't it?
Yeah.
Often gets used as coat hook in Second World War conversions.
There's a screw in
coat
it.
rack. Yeah.
There's a screw in it
Yeah.
there. Amazing.
And they're slightly better on this side, actually. You can see you've got the original pattern there, you've got cream down there, red up there. Now, what would we normally be looking for in these lift lobby areas?
It's got to be another maker's tile, but we've seen
Yes.
one. Does that mean that there wouldn't have been one here, or have they just popped it there because they really want to do
Yeah,
it?
I mean, we have found them before in these spaces. Kentish Town, we found one, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
In here, but my guess is, I doubt they'll have put them on that side.
No.
Because of the baton and then the plain render. But here, exactly where I would put it is
There's a
that
fire.
tile there.
Yeah, there's
so
a
it's
fire sign.
overpainted and it's got a fire action poster on it.
But of course, each lift had an entrance and an exit. So if we go over there, this is the shaft.
Definitely worth a go. And now, yeah, you say this casually, this is the lift shaft. It's been quite heavily modified, hasn't it?
Massively. Have you got your big torch?
I have, yeah.
You see what I mean? It's been plugged.
It's very unusual. It's been modified for ventilation, hasn't it? So let's get the camera pointing up and give it the beans. Look at that.
It's incredible, isn't it?
I bet that looks impressive looking down from above. We'll see if we can go and film that and drop in a shot looking down.
But as you say, it's not a big lift shaft, is it? That's not long. It's not deep.
It's actually very shallow, and you can see where this concrete's been made. It's just rough shuttered. You can see the moulding of the boards wooden boards that we use there. You can see the wood.
And when you talk about rough shuttering, because we use it a lot, it's basically where they use wooden planks to form a block for the concrete
That's
to set.
right. Yeah. And so yeah, we've got another lift entrance over on this side. So let's carry on our quest.
A little hunt for the letters. You see, it's grimy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And overpainted.
I'd say it's kind of, you'd expect it about there, but I can't see one.
No. And again, this side, what have we got this side? See, there's a wooden plinth again. Interesting how the wooden plinth was only on the one side of the... What was that all about?
Don't know. If you notice, there's a bit of...
voltage.
Yeah, sort of threaded bar sticking out there and there. So there's been some modification done in here. And yeah, I mean, the whole thing has got equipment built into it now.
Yeah.
If you've ever walked past it when the lights have been left on like it is today, you might actually get a cheeky glimpse through the grills at some of the things inside. All right, well, there's one last one to have a look at. This equipment panel is going to be sat on top of it if it is. Oh no, hang on. That side had the
wooden bar
as well. So
that did.
Yeah, that one's got more tiling. Again, though, just not seeing anything.
This is one for our viewers, though, isn't it? If you know anything about these entrances and stations, why was it that the extreme sides of the lift doors had a wooden beam, but these ones didn't? The internal ones didn't, the external ones did. I'd love to know. If you know, drop a comment in the section below.
Yeah. Well, I I think that might be the end of the wonders that we have to explore at Chalk Farm. It's been pretty good to us, hasn't it?
I have to say, the thing I loved about this was that you said to me, let's do Chalk Farm. Number one, it's lovely to go touring with you again. Number two, this is a station which from the outside, street level, you don't even have to buy a ticket to see how gorgeous it is. And then when you get down here, it's a treasure trove of little cheeky secrets everywhere you want to go.
Did you expect there to be this much here to entertain us?
No, and I loved it. This bit particularly, I'm absolutely caked in it, but I love it. This is what we do this for.
Well, that's the studio.
I mean, where do we start? First of all, Siddles. We always go to one particular book, Rails Through the Clay, for our History Digest. There's hardly anything in there about Chalk Farm. Why do you reckon that is?
So I was just thinking about this because it is kind of unusual that you don't have at least a few inputs, right? And then as I was watching your video and the way you guys were walking around, it suddenly dawned on me that the station, weirdly enough, is actually very fit for purpose. It just kind of does its job. It's done its job like it was supposed to. It's still large enough for the amount of people using it. So it's probably one of the few stations on the original on the original Hampstead line that, you know, they haven't had to modify that much. Therefore, it's fit for purpose.
It does the job. And I mean, in a funny sort of way, the tile work, everything on the outside has stood the test of time as well. And when you look on the outside, I mean, first of all, Laura, Tile Queen, what do you make of the outside of the building? Because I always liken it to the Flatiron Building in New York. It is just so blooming pretty.
It is, isn't it? It's just joyous and very pleasing to look at. And I like that you started that with, this is your favourite station exterior. I don't think I knew that before, Alex.
It's lovely. It's because the family's from up that way anyway, and so I know the station really well. And I just think it's the way it just bisects those two roads. You know, it sits there on the confluence of the two. I just adore it. And Nixie, when we were wandering around, just looking up at that station, it really was sort of a beacon of the underground, wasn't it, on that junction?
Yeah, it was that old Frank Pick line about the station should be a beacon for the system, and it really is. I think that wedge shape that it has really accentuates your sense of grandeur when you're looking at it ever so slightly uphill, and that sort of great dynamic of the two sides splaying away from you. It's great.
And when you look then in the station, Siddles, you've got, you know, you're talking about being fit for purpose. And I think you're probably right. You've got a great situation where there's so many of the original tiles. They're all just, they're hiding in plain sight. You know, behind one of the big enamel maps, you've got the Charing Cross sign. Then on the other side, you've got Hampstead. There's an awful lot to see. It's a proper example of look up, don't look down.
Yeah, and do you know what? I do really love those kind of northern stations beyond Camden and there, you know, so you guys have gone to Archway, this one, Kentish Town, must do Tufnell Park sometime. They are actually beautifully preserved in a way that I feel like we don't see in many other parts of London, particularly not, you know, it's almost, well, I guess historically that suburb has always been very, you know, as quite early populated, so it hasn't expanded like other parts of London, perhaps later and in the 20th century. So yeah, it was beautifully preserved, and a maker's tile as well. That's incredible. I mean, we get so excited when we see that. Proper little time capsule that station is.
And I have to say, there was something very funny when we were watching the film together. And Nixie asked me, which other station on the Northern Line would have looked like this? And you were screaming, Bull and Bush, North End. So, you know, it's quite interesting what you were saying earlier about the fact that when you look at that line particularly, the stations were dumped in already existing areas, and places that were on the grow but actually didn't end up growing, just didn't end up with a station.
Yeah, it's like it's one of the few, well, not one of the few, I mean, they were all going to places that were on the up and up, but it's like many of those stations seem to have been somewhat closer to their intended purpose than many of the others. I mean, especially the central London ones. I mean, like we've spoken about hundreds of times now, those were just way too small for the amount of people going through them, but those northern ones seem to have been closer to even the estimates that we have today.
And finally, Laura, before we move on to the pictures and the posters and everything else, I think probably the thing that I love the most about any of our touring is when you open a cupboard and you see a set of tiles that are the originals. You know, a lot of the platforms are pastiche now. They've been retiled in a sort of sympathetic design. But in those cupboards that we saw at Chalk Farm, they are the originals with the original metal friezes with the names of the station on top. I mean, it is such a treasure trove when you open those cupboard doors. You've been there, I've been there, we've all been there.
It's funny, isn't it, that you know, you open a door to what's kind of some kind of store cupboard, or, you know, there's this fight for space. And so they've had to kind of build onto the platform area. And sometimes it's the most unsuspecting door that you'll try the key in, and you open it and it's just like, you know, your eyes start to sparkle because you're like, I did not expect to see this here. And you guys did that. It was really nice when you opened the door and you got really excited. I got excited for you too.
It was gorgeous. A very nice, neat bunch of keys as well for Chalk Farm. Coming up later in the series is Waterloo. And I can't even begin to tell you how many keys there are to get into the cupboards at Waterloo. It is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so it's normally Siddy's slideshow and Nix's picks. I think today it's Nix's picks. What you got for us?
Yes, we have a wealth of photos for this one. So let's start with this juicy one in 1907, before the station has been fully completed.
Who'd have thought, though, looking at that that was how it would look before a station? It must have been the most shocking thing when that starts arriving in your neighbourhood, though.
Yeah.
But instead, you said, you know, that in many ways it was fit for purpose. The area was already established, which it was. But you would think to yourself, what is this growing out of the ground?
Yeah, and also looking at that, I mean, it's just mostly, I mean, it's mostly residential around it with lots of trees and things like that. So yeah, it would have been quite strange, right? It's like almost like, yeah, a station popping up somewhere, you know, outside of London with the tube or something now.
Yeah, this bizarre thing's just risen up out of the ground.
Yeah.
You're a lamps and tiles kind of geek. What do you make of those? It's beautiful.
If you notice on that end, on that very front bit, you can see there's just a white strip because the big U, big D underground device is yet to be created and applied.
Well, that's interesting. So what would have been there when it opened up, do you think? Just nothing? Just a band?
Yeah, well, you can see it's just a band. So, yeah.
Laura, what do you make of it?
I mean, I was just going off the back of what you were saying there as well. It's just like an enormous wedge of a station that's just kind of been plonked on that lovely little triangle. But it is beautiful. You can just see the start of its journey there, can't you? But I mean, that hanging lantern in the top left corner, divine.
Gorgeous, isn't
Well,
it? And I suppose. Go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, if you want to see another nice lantern, let's just take the side view from it a little bit later in the year. You can see they've finished a bit more off. You see that it's got one of those very early classic hanging lamps off the end of the building. Yeah,
Pretty, but look, because the previous picture didn't have the Hampstead Tube Railway written all down the sides. That wasn't there, so that was yet to be tiled. But
Yeah.
what is going on in front? Have they dug the road up?
It could well be that it's just the amount of it's either a non-metalled road at that point, or it's just the amount. You notice how many horses and carts there've been. Yeah. I wonder if it's just the kind of the grim muck on the road. From
You know what, you're absolutely right. It's gouge marks, isn't it? I'm looking at this. It's only a small shot, but that's dirt on the roads. It's like mud tracks, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what I think is amazing is the Hampstead Tube poster.
I know, I was just about to zoom in on that.
We have used this particular poster many a time in our interpretation since we started Hidden London, because it's such a brilliant poster that shows you very accurately what the thinking was behind the Hampstead Tube. And it's like black and red and white. It's very kind of, I don't know, glamorous. Very kind of, yeah, different
Bold.
to what we'd have today, for sure.
Really
This is
bold.
on the other side there, Haverstock Hill side, where again you see the same map applied there, and all of this, hamster tube, everything's the hamster tube.
It's
virtually
honestly, I
everything.
think it's such a beautiful, elegant station, and it must have, as I say, at the time, a railway line coming to your neighbourhood called the Hampstead Tube to get you into town. It was like a railway designed just for me, and they must have felt so excited when it just arrived and started being used. It blows my mind, really. What's next, Nixie?
We've got one of the interior showing that some of that original tiling and the cornice work, all of the way that they've made the roof beams look a bit prettier. And for some reason, the photographer is very keen to feature the sign for the ladies there as
Is
well.
that the door? That's the door we were looking at, Nixie. It must have been a loo behind there.
It is. So you can see that is the original one that's been sat there. It looks like it's even the same colouring, doesn't it?
It's probably why there were holes in the door to let the air in.
Oh.
But really nice one to find in the collection, surviving.
Lovely stuff.
So winding on a bit further into the 30s, you can see that it's just, there's minor changes. You've got the light box outside it on the left there with the vertical underground light box. But the facade is just surviving very well. Businesses have moved into those bits that had the boarding on in the earlier shots. Dairy has moved in.
What? So is this just a milk shop?
Well, it says dairy teas and luncheons.
Yeah.
Happy.
So little
Teas and luncheons, yeah.
Not a Spears and Ponds, this one.
It's beautiful.
I thought it was quite cute.
And
to your earlier point, Siddy, about this area that Chalk Farm was part of being given an identity, I found a rather lovely poster that showed that. Alex, did you have something else you want to say about the?
No, I was just going to say to Laura, we've got the underground sign right over what's now the entrance door, and I love all these big things that just rock up all over these tiles.
Whereabouts were you guys sat? Do you know which archway you were?
We were just up by this one,
This one, okay.
This one, and this one. They're all in that bit there with that oculus window that I referred to on the.
Yes.
Yeah. So, to Siddy's point, this was a fairly simple infographic poster that was produced, but promoting that you can get very quickly from town into this area. I just thought it was an interesting one where they've kind of like shone the outline of the roundel onto the map effectively. Brilliant,
absolutely brilliant. Love it, love it, love it. More bits of beautiful artwork. Any more?
Well, what this station lacks in official history in Rails Through the Clay, it more than makes up for in the poster collection, because it has a couple of things nearby it that it can take people to. One of which is the zoo, and so there's an enormous number of posters that mention Chalk Farm because of its proximity to the zoo.
Nice walk, actually, to the zoo from Chalk Farm, straight over Primrose Hill. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely.
I love this.
This one's a classic, which many people will have seen. It used to, the first office that I was in at the museum had a copy of this on the wall. It's from 1934 by Maurice A. Miles, and lovely depiction of a elephant, presumably mother and baby elephant, coming through the undergrowth.
I like it because it's got like quite a strong use of angles, but it's still quite a soft poster.
Beautiful. Really soft, just as soft as you say. It's like a soft focus lens, isn't it? It's really, really lovely.
Gorgeous.
Very nice. Nixie, next.
Well, yeah, and then we have from 1939 from Rosemary and Clifford Ellis, one that we have seen before. Hello, I think I referred to it as recumbent panda when we saw it last time.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I love that panda.
And that's from, you say 1939? Because it does.
Yeah.
They write it on sometimes, don't they? Down there, look, CNRE. How nice.
It kind of looks like the panda's working out.
What, doing ab crunches?
Yeah.
Or like flying through the air and like trying to do like karate or something.
Speaking of working out, do you know we've got a fan, and it's Rosemary Conley off the telly, the good health and exercise instructor from the TV. One of her posts mentioned the Hidden London Hangouts.
Well, in which case, Rosemary, if you're watching, would you be prepared to dress up in a panda costume and recreate this image whilst doing some ab work?
You don't have to answer that, Rosemary. You don't have to answer that at all. But beautiful. Have we got any more for any more?
Oh, we do. Now, this next one, right, I want you just to notice, can you see on the top right-hand corner, you've got that bullseye that we've referred to before, where it's kind of a ghost bullseye that's not got anything in it. It's just the outline. Well, you can see that again on the next one. And also, Laura, this next one is for you.
Oh. Oh, you're too kind.
See why?
Flamingos.
See flamingos, think Laura.
And look at that,
Look
Lord
at that like
Station.
really soft dusting of pink on them as well, but it kind of still keeps in line with that kind of very monochrome black and white, but with the nighttime sky. Oh, I love this. I've never seen this before.
No, I'm really digging deep with this. This again is 1939. This is Harry Blackler, and I love the styling of Zoo Nights.
Great.
It feels like it's like Phoenix Nights.
Friday lights.
So good though. The artwork is stunning. Absolutely stunning.
They produced a series of these as well, so there are a number of different takes on Zoo Nights.
Look at the detail of that little pin as well. That's like looking like it's attaching the note to the background.
Oh yeah.
Love
So
to spot
cool.
these things though.
So cool. So cool.
And is that the station's open till 11 or the zoo?
The zoo.
The zoo.
That's late for a zoo, no?
Isn't
Well,
it
it's
just? Those
Zoo Nights, isn't it?
well past their bedtime, those animals.
But of course, it's during the summer, so lighter evenings.
Yeah.
Yes, true. And yes.
Moving on, we go to well, actually, I'm going to ask you to guess the artist. This, you see how you've got all the animals arranged effectively in tiles. So think of an artist who also did tiles.
Anybody?
Oh.
Tiles that we've seen at St Paul's, for example.
Stabler?
Ah!
Well
It's
done.
drawn by Harold Stabler at the bottom.
Yeah,
Did you say that?
well done.
Done.
Harold
Stabler.
Stabler, and this is 1930.
Lovely.
Really
Very,
well.
very nice.
I
Very nice.
really like
Stabler,
this.
thank you very much indeed.
Well, those dingoes at the bottom.
It does look like it.
We'll just park
So,
that there. Next.
So the next one, we're going to go underwater.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Not a dingo in sight.
No, but
Crabs.
plenty of crabs
Plenty of crabs.
and seahorses. So
And
Absolutely.
also, what are those called? The ones that look like a little, like
Are they anemones?
Anemones.
Are they sea
Anemone.
anemone?
Anemone.
That's the one.
I think I had one of those at hospital once.
That's the
With
fifth.
friends like you who needs
Horror.
enemies.
An enemy.
Nemo.
Yep.
So yeah, these are all from the 30s. So this is 1931. And the last ones that I've got for you are more photographic. These are all artist unknown, so they're essentially photos with text applied. And we start with man-eater.
Oh God, that's a mad tiger.
Wow, look at that.
Is that enticing people in or scaring them?
Well, it'd be really funny. Can you imagine if you were throwing a birthday party or something for like a mate of yours that's got, that's really fit, and you Photoshop their face on that, and the man-eater just arrived.
I picked this one because I thought you might have a bit of fun with that title. But Laura, to your point, of the cool, is that really enticing people? I guess it depends, because some people like that sense of danger, but other people might be enticed by this one.
Oh,
Right,
That's the one.
Lurleen, I'm waiting for you.
That's the one.
And also,
escalators are now working here.
At Camden.
only at Camden, not at Chalk Farm. But I noticed this one, and this one's for our director. There was also one called Elizabeth.
Oh,
Elizabeth.
Waiting.
Hello, Tiger.
I am Elizabeth waiting for you at the zoo. Is it a tiger or is it a lion cub?
Lion cub.
Lion cub, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're both lion cubs. I mean, that one is just heart-meltingly gorgeous, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. That's what I've got for you.
They were very good, though.
Beautiful.
Very
love,
good.
love, love, love,
You know,
love.
we've spoken a lot about the zoo in the past, and I feel like we should all
Go to the
trip
zoo.
to the zoo. Yeah.
Go to the zoo. How about you?
And speaking of attractions you should go to, if you like that lot, our poster gallery, I say again, has recently opened at London Transport Museum, and it is a cracker. So make some time to go and see that and do your Christmas shopping.
Very, very good.
Yes, great deals on in the shop at the moment.
There are loads of things, including the jumpers. We love the jumpers, beautiful jumpers. Notes, queries and questions. Some amazing comments come back after Shepherd's Bush. Loads of comments about the original signs. So hi to John, to Simon, to Just Me, Paul Giffen, Burdetsky. We've got loads of comments, loads and loads indeed. But I just wanted to read one that came in, and it just kind of sums up what we do, and it's just beautiful. So this has come from Paul, okay? And he says, I've enjoyed all the Hidden London tours as mere mortals can go on over the years, except Kingsway Tram Tunnel, that's coming up. Down Street has to be my favourite, closely followed by Charing Cross. And being a key worker during the pandemic, I was so busy. Thank you for looking after us, by the way. I think we all looked after each other, didn't we, through that? I didn't get to see much television, but when we were free to roam again, I looked for tours and I found you. Eventually, I've watched them all, over 110 of them, and I finished catching up. And I just love watching the four of you, obviously getting so excited on each episode, picking out the things that most of us normally miss and walk by at each station. I do look round more now as a result of watching you guys. Keep up the good work, and thanks for entertaining us on the Hangouts. Take care, Paul. Thank you. It's our total pleasure. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Nix, for your companionship around Chalk Farm.
Loved it. Thank you for going and exploring with me.
Siddy Holloway, thank you very much indeed for your, just frankly, sorting out the urban planning of the North London environs for us.
Yeah, and pointing out dingoes along the way. No, my pleasure.
Dingo's taken my baby. And Laura Hilton-Brown, thank you very much indeed, as always, for everything you do for us.
Pleasure. Chalky Farmy was a goodie.
Chalky Farmy was chalky good. Chalky goodness. Thank you very much indeed, as always. You've seen us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment down below. Find us on Instagram, Alex Grundon, Chris Nick, Siddy Holloway, Hidden London Law, and at LT Museum. I'll be back somewhere really cool very soon indeed. In the meantime, have yourself a great day and stay safe.